Is the mortgage hangover gone?
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We're the Hatch Homes Group, and it's our weekly Monday housing market update. And so we're noticing right now that like interest rate shock that we experienced is starting to subside a little. And buyers are starting to realize this is the new norm. And we have so many tools at your disposal. People are getting so creative right now in like pivoting in this new market. So we really wanted to look at the numbers. Let's look at the data because they really tell a strong story. So let's dive in.
Numbers tell us.
So we have this amazing graph, but before I show you that, I think as real estate agents, we can all kind of identify with the fact that we were showing buyers houses and things were going along, and then suddenly there was like a wall that we hit when interest rates went up, and a whole bunch of buyers were suddenly like, oh my gosh, this is too much. I don't think I want to buy right now because interest rates are insane. And so it's interesting to take a look at this graph because this has the annual mortgage rate average all the way from 1972 to 2022. So it's the average, right, of each year. And when you look at this graph, if you were to take away any of our experience from this year with our actual buyers and clients, and just sort of look at this data and where we're at, it actually, mortgage rates look pretty low compared to historic rates, and certainly not anything disconcerting in terms of the average. Especially when you look at the 80s, you know, my birth year, for instance, we were almost all the way to 16%. And now in 2022, the average is, you know, well under 6% for the whole year. So it's interesting to see because there's such a difference between experience versus like how we experience things versus the data. So why were people freaking out and stopping their purchasing journeys a month or two ago?
Well, would you look at that in this graph, you can kind of see why. Is in basically the span of about 6 months, it went from the twos to the sixes, and that short, sharp increase was like standing up, and then it certainly affects affordability.
Absolutely. It was a shock to the system.
Absolutely.
But I think once the dust is settling, I mean, if the dust settles and it's kind of settling now, we believe that it is. I think that shock is wearing off and people are understanding that this is the new normal and we need to get over what happened in the past because we all knew that interest rates were not going to be sustainable under 4%, under 3%. I mean, looking at that graph again, you don't see a lot of that ever happening before. So it's such an indication of how it went and where we're heading. And I think that it's really important for people to look at that as the new normal and moving into the future, because there's no point in waiting for them to go down to 2% again, right?
But I think it's also really interesting because for those of us in the field, you know, it's like to us, going up in mortgage rate is something we were kind of expecting. It's that sharp incline, I think, that really, really affected people sort of emotionally, specifically because they were qualified for a certain amount, expecting a certain monthly payment, and then suddenly it was so different. Whereas now those same buyers are kind of coming back to us and being like, oh, we see what you're saying in terms of like, historically, this isn't that bad. It's not that we're not saying it's bad for you experientially. It's just that overall, historically, in house buying, it's not that bad.
Now, that's a really good like perspective on it. And that's so true right now. And we're still hearing a lot of buyers say, well, I'm just going to wait till interest rates go down again. And it just goes into exactly what you're saying, Alexa, about that like emotional like experience of it. And you know, how it changes your affordability. But when you're looking, we're just looking at these historic averages, right? Like, is that a realistic belief right now? Is that a realistic thing to think that you should wait for interest rates to go down? Like, why are we thinking they're going to go down and like substantially again? Like, there's just no data to prove that. Sure, I think we all think interest rates will go down, but not to the levels they were. And quite frankly, if they were to go down below 5% again, even with the amount of demand and millennials we have in the market, with the low inventory we already have, we're just going to get back to the problem that we were just in. The rates should not have been that low. They should not have been.
Well,
Now
so
we
that's
have to
wrong.
deal with that.
Yeah.
So you have, as a buyer, you just have so much more like in your power right now as a buyer, despite, the higher interest rate.
Yeah, we find buyers are enjoying, some buyers are really enjoying this market right now compared with the beginning of this year, last year, when we had multiple offers. People
Frenzy.
were getting beaten out by cash buyers. They're waiving inspections, waiving appraisals. Crazy market, and very frustrating for buyers. And now we have a lot more tools and a lot more flexibility, and more options.
Yeah, buyers have a little bit more control now versus just getting into anything and giving your firstborn child to get it. So,
but I think that's what's so
agree.
interesting is that our memories are so short, right? It's like we always want the thing that we don't have. And so now that interest rates are a little higher, people are like, oh, I want to wait till interest rates go down. But they don't remember what came with those low interest rates, which was so many frustrating offers where you're offering over ask, competing with 26 other bids that are way stronger than yours, especially for first-time home buyers. And then, like you said, Michelle, ending up just kind of throwing everything you have at a house that you're not even sure that you like as much, just because it's more realistic for you to maybe get your foot in the door there, Whereas now, and I think all of us are experiencing this too, it's like taking our buyers out to see homes. There's a slower pace. We're so much more confident about what we can get for them in terms of repair credits, et cetera. And it's just much more enjoyable to be shopping for a home, frankly.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge, because I think there's a little bit of backlash that we see on social media and stuff of like, it's really easy for you to say that it's a better time to buy when the affordability is so different. But the reason why we feel so confident about that is exactly what we were just talking about. We helped so many buyers in the last market. They made so many sacrifices to get into the house that now it's like, oh, hey, like, I need that roofer contact because like I need to put a $20,000 roof on the house now. Like we heard all these things. They had no power. They just had to take the house.
And all the
well, now we're getting to help people like Johnny. We were just talking about that, right? Like what you're getting to, like what you're seeing with your buyers right now in terms of negotiation.
Yeah, getting sewers fixed, getting furnaces fixed after closing. People forget all the articles right now talking about, a lot of percentage of people from 2020 who purchased or 2021 have some grievances, a large percentage of them.
Yeah,
and that was grievances over paying more than they thought, not getting exactly what they wanted, having repairs they didn't want to do, not having enough options to buy. And that's what a lot lower interest rate would do.
Yeah. So let's count our blessings, I guess, while we have them. I don't know how that goes. But yeah, I mean, obviously reach out to us every time you want to talk about this. And if you're worried, if you're scared, if you put on the brakes, like this is actually a sweet spot for buyers out there and sellers. It's a lot less frenzy. It's a lot less stress. I mean, it's still stressful, but reach out to us. We can help make that less stressful. Have a great week and thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share.